trying to reduce cappings and recover honey from stock pots on stoves and lots of dirty, dangerous methods in that regard. So initially I started off making some electric double boilers for candle makers because my wife wanted to make candles and I couldn't find any. So that's sort of initially what started me, and quickly discovered there's a huge market for it because I couldn't find anything. And the more I sort of looked around, people started actually asking me to make them for them because my wife never, still to this day, never made a candle. So I sold that unit, and then I had people contact me and ask me where I got it from, and then it was, could I make them one? So that was a few years ago now, and so it got me here, which is where I didn't expect to be actually. But it's very interesting, and I really enjoy it. And, a lot of what I actually do, mostly, and I'm very mindful of, is that as much as I sell wax melters, I help a lot of people start small businesses that previously weren't able to do that. Especially a lot of your young mums and those sort of people who are trying to raise young families. It's helping them supplement incomes from small network businesses from their home in a safe way, nice and easy, without having to use their kitchen. So that started from there. So I started off with just a couple of models, and now I've got 36. But essentially they all start with the 4 sizes. And why my largest size is 35 litres is, at the moment, well, that's the largest you can run on a 10 amp power point and get the heat that you need and with reducing in reasonable time. Once it gets much bigger, they're dealing with such a large volume. And when you read around to some of the other manufacturers, especially stuff in the States, you'll read comments to the effect that you'll have to do your own testing. And that's because they don't want to tell you you've got to turn it on Monday to do something on Friday. That's where that comes from. So these are actually quite fast. So they all have a 2300 watt element. 2400 is the largest you can do on a 10 amp course. So that's the maximum that you can do. So size equates to time. So at 80 degrees, you're looking at about half an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, 4 hours to get the product to 80 degrees. Then you've got different configurations. So out of all the units that I sell, they all have these bodies, and it's just a matter of how you fit them out and what people want to do with them, whether they want to make these bars where you have supply ability to reduce the kit. Candle makers have brass fittings because the brass is better for heat for candles. Stainless steel for all your beekeepers, which will apply more to the food grade standards, and much better for cleaning as a non-reactive material, where brass will tarnish. So, and we've used the more bulbous fittings on units for the beekeepers. Then we move into a capillary style thermostat or digital. So the difference between the two is capillary style will read the temperature from the base and heat rises, so you can get a bit of a lag time in the reaction from the water temperature to the thermostat realising that it's actually 80 up there, not 50. So normally I'd run them around sort of 55, 60, so you're not peaking past your 70. So you'll keep that under that 70 degrees by doing that. Whereas a digital, the actual thermocouple of the digital is in the water jet. So it's reacting very quickly within 2 degrees. So you can set that on 20 degrees for 6 months. So if you wanted to have, put honey that you don't want to candy over winter, for instance, you put it in there, set it on 20, walk away, and it just won't candy. Just sit there and because it will just cycle on and off, just kicking in and out. And they're an intelligent controller, so they actually learn. They learn how long the temperature drops, so they're heading that off all the time. So they'll actually kick in. So you're not messing around with trying to change programs or trying to get the optimatic. It will do all that for you. You just tell it the temperature you want the maximum to be, and it will manage that for you within a couple of degrees. The cappings reducers, so these can be used for a whole range of things, from recovering your honey from your cappings to cleaning the old foundation and wax from previous cleans. So with your clean cappings that you take from your hives, basically throw it all in, no water. There's enough moisture in the honey to do that. Fill the unit up with water. Heat the jacket up, throw your cappings in, and then if the cappings are clean, 8 to 10 hours, If they're dirty, you want to sort of wait about 24 to really allow that heavy stuff to separate and the light stuff float to the top. Once that's all done, it's processed there and gravity's done its job. Open the bottom tap, your honey will come out from your cappings. The wax line, you skim the top, skim the top for any bits of bees and debris that you want in there. Chip fry skimmers are quite good for that. And while your honey's coming out of there, the wax is falling. Once you see the colour change, where the honey comes and the wax starts to come out, you'll nip that closed, and then we move up to your higher tap, and now that's right in the middle of your clean wax. That level there is what gives you that protection from, I think it's propolis and those sort of things that sit in between those two things. So that'll give you that little protection through there, so you're up in the clean wax. If you find it's still a bit dirty, just drop it down a little bit more, or let it sit for a bit longer. So some of your brood comb and that sort of stuff's pretty horrible. So you might clean that a few times. Do the first clean and then put it through again. Or with the brood comb and you wax from your previous cleans, you put some water in there. So you fill the water up to the height of this tap in the chamber and let it heat up, and you'll get your honey-rich water out of there then, which you can use for your meat and those sort of things if you want to recover that. And again, then that will be back into the wax again, which will reduce down, and you can take that off the top. Pretty much that's it really. It's a simple process. Then it's a matter about what other things you want to use it for as well. You can use it to make lip balms and candles and wax polishes and hair care products and aluminium-free deodorants, and just goes on and on and on and on. Comes down to how much cleaning you want to do between these things. If you want to use a unit to do that whole range of products. So they're certainly capable of doing all of it. There are quite a few units out there. I think William at the Bunyip Beekeeper's been trying one, he's turned it off for 2 years. So it's done a lot of work. I looked at it the other day, it's really done a lot of work. So it's good. It's good to see that it's still going. But I tell people to use demineralised water in them, and the reason for that is the water quality around Australia varies to degrees that I never thought possible, and there's some really nasty stuff out there. And because the units themselves are sort of semi-sealed, you can't really dry them out or clean them out on the inside. So the best way to protect them and get that extended life out of the element, all the internal parts that aren't stainless steel, by using you can leave the water in there pretty much indefinitely until you finish the serviceable life.
So Rob, just to be clear, you're talking about the water and the water in the water jacket now.
Yes.
Not the water you put in.
Oh, sorry, I should make that clear. Yeah. So in the chamber, if you're cleaning old comb, that sort of stuff, doesn't matter what water you put in it. That's you. But in the actual water jacket, it's better to use that. And once you fill it, just leave it. You don't have to empty it. But
using what? Sorry, what sort of water?
Demineralised water, or distilled. It's distilled just one step further. Yeah. Only sell a 5 litre bottle for $4. So just by that one step, it actually quadruple the life of the unit. So we'll put them on par with like a commercial grade unit. So I use a 302 stainless steel, so you can fabricate it in these ways. If you go up to a 304 or 316, the cost is exponentially more to produce than that, and you can't fabricate those materials in these ways. But the actual material itself will last a long time. It's all the things that are produced by from porosity and those things when they weld them, from the welded seams that can draw moisture out of the air. That's where where most of them will fail over time. Just for expansion and contraction, those sort of things will do that. So with the demineralised water, a commercial unit will last about 5 years. With the demineralised water, I've got units out there still going strong after 3 years. So, and this compared to that is about a quarter of the price. So you're looking at a couple of $1,000 compared to $500. So it's the mess, the time, and the convenience that it saves you is where their real value lies, because you can sort of set them up, walk away, let them do their thing. You're not worried about burning your house down or having. You see people try and use rice cookers and those sort of things, so forget about them. There's no char this in there, and lucky they put the fire brigade. It takes a lot of that danger out of it, and it also allows you to recover pretty much everything. So, what you skim off the top can, go into the garden. You can recover the honey-rich water. You're getting all your wax, all your honey from post pressing to recovering. The honey that you would get out of here from your clean cappings is essentially cooked, so it's not raw, but you can use that in cooking and making marinades and sauces and all those sort of products and biscuits. It's great, still tastes fantastic. It's just not raw. It's been heated up. Just tell you guys that. So I think that's
So with the demineralised water, Rob, you recommend always keeping it. What you told me about them, they're not sort of. It's not something you would transport around a lot and empty the water out and leave the water jacket.
Once you fill it, just leave the water in there.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's in there for 10 years, because it's demineralised, it's not going to hurt anything. It's actually better to keep it in there, because what it's creating is an oxygen and mineral-free environment. So without those things in there, it can't harm anything. So by actually putting it in, why they can pull things from the bottom of the ocean 200 years later when it's fine. That sort of principle. And that's what that environment creates. So it gives you the life of a commercial, more expensive unit for relative, by using that as the product. The only part of the product that I can't control, it's what people put in there in the water jacket. But if you do that, you'll get many years of use out of it. Some of the early stuff, Rob will tell you this, you don't use demineralised water, if your water's not operating, will eat them alive. So
You haven't said that right, my unit's still going.
Yeah.
Great guns, it's like 4 or 5 year old.
Yeah. But they're good. I mean, I'm a bit of a stickler for, everything. I know nothing lasts forever, but it's all about value for money and that tool doing those tasks that you need it to do, and if you're going to invest that in it, it's got to do the job you want. So it's such, from one lot of cappings to the next can be, such a variation that how you clean it. Some cappings you can take straight out of there and pour straight into moulds. It's great. Then other stuff you might have to run through a strainer, a honey strainer or something like that, and you might have to clean it a couple of times. But mostly, if your cappings, if you just want to do wax directly out of it, putting clean cappings in there, you can pretty much pour directly out of that, recover the honey, pour directly out of that into moulds. So it's really once you get into the dirty stuff that you might need to do it a couple of times.
Well, if you're processing brood comb,
Yep.
clearly the unit's full of water, you're not going to be tipping it upside down.
That's right.
So how do you clean out the rubbish after the brood comb?
Sure. Most of the stuff, the bigger stuff will float anyway, so the blockages, the outlets are large enough that most of the stuff that you find in a hive would go through that anyway. So once the lid's off that, regardless of what it is, on the inside, it's just a sink, isn't it? So you can fill it up with water, heat it up, give it a bit of scrub out, just flush it. Just flush it through the chambers. You don't have to take it away to a sink or anything like that. That is your sink. So then probably the only other advantage would be if you're setting up in an environment where it can be quite cold, so people have out sheds and things like that. In weather like this, you might want to throw a towel over them or wrap them with some what's that stuff they make wetsuits in it. Neoprene. Yeah, it's good.
What's your little red tap on the other side for?
Okay, so this one's just to empty the water jacket. So if you ever do need to move it,
Right.
or that's still there, the plug is there, that never gets tightened. It's just to ensure that if you've got little ones around or someone silly comes along that who likes to see what things do before they ask the question. Because if you open that, it just means it'll dribble, not go. So the plug will do that. It just gives you the ability to drain it without having to muscle it. Unmovable, if you'll move it around. You know, because obviously that there, you know, talking 35 litres of water volume, one's what, 1.5 times that. So that could be 7 kilos, you know, up to 7 kilos full of water around. You know, if you've got honey or it's in there, can get quite heavy. So you wouldn't want to cart that around. Some of the early models had handles on them, get away with it very quickly because a couple of people thought they could. And that's not a great idea. So they went pretty quickly. So really, the idea is, you know, sort of set and forget. The temperatures that you guys will be looking at doing, because they're fairly low, the evaporation is almost nothing. It's only once you get sort of 80 and above you start to see a bit of evaporation. Most of the water, so the water cost is not an issue. So it's not as if you know, every time you turn the thing on, you've got to go break down the bone and apply another 10 litres. It's not going to be like that. If the temperatures you use, if you went through 4 litres a year, it would be a lot at low temperatures. And the majority of the moisture falls back into the tank anyway because it hits the top rim, just drops back into the tank. So it's just cycling around.
How do you check that if the jacket is full of water or up to the level of water?
I don't put a water level gauge on them because it's not about how far it can go down. It needs all the tools to operate correctly. So the simple way is you fill it up till you just see it into the bottom of the window there. You heat it up, it'll expand, you'll see it start to rise. If it doesn't reach the top of the window, just top it up a little bit so it does, and that will keep the window clear. If it starts to fall, you get a bit of evaporation, you'll see steam or condensation on the glass there, and those things can't form underwater. So you just dip it up, you know. So it's a visual thing. So I haven't even entered the idea of putting a water gauge on it because they need all their water. It's not about how far it can go down. It's to operate, function to what it's designed to do. It needs all its water.
So if you have to move a short distance in the shed, do you need to put a cap on that inlet to start the stirring?
Well, it's because it's in a jacket. It's not thrashing around like it does in a bucket. I wouldn't think it would be a big deal. You know, if you really wanted to move it, you can just take the funnel off. If you're worried about losing water out of there, it's just take that plug out of here, put that in there while you move it, take it out, put it back again. So they've got a positive ventilation hole around the back here.
Yep.
And what that does is, when you fill the water, if air can't escape, obviously it's going to pressurise and try and come back at you and take you half an hour to fill the thing if you didn't have a way for the air to escape. So even by that there, that's won't allow that to pressurise, but it keeps it safe.
And if you fill it up too much, like I did,
Oh, you make a big mess.
yeah, that comes in.
Did you say pressure well?
The pressure, it stops the pressure rising. If there's a ventilation hole in the back here, a tiny little hole. I normally put a sticker on it, but I forgot to put one on this one. Yeah, so put a sticker on these days because I just got sick of emails, people telling me that there was a hole in the back and there was a ribbon missing. Let's not read the instructions. That's what I understand. Which is why I put a business card in every unit for that reason, so people can contact me straight away.
After you've done your process and you've filled it and extracted as much wax as you can,
Yes.
it's obviously the unit's still hot.
Yes.
How quickly will it remelt another lot if you fill it back up again?
The melting side of it's fairly quick. The recovery time is quite quick on the second lot because it's already up to temperature.
Yep.
It's more about how much time you need to allow everything to settle and separate.
Okay.
So, and that will depend on how dirty, the product you're putting in there is.
Yep.
So, like I said, so that can be 8 to 10 hours, could be 24 hours. The dirty stuff, I would always say, leave it 24 hours. Just let it go. So, because they're 2300 watts, but that's per kilowatt hour. So, this one here will heat up in about an hour, so it's only going to use energy for that first hour, and then after it's only going to cycle on a few minutes every hour. You know, it'll just come on, peak that temperature up again, so it'll just cycle on and off. So once they're up to temperature, they use very little power. They don't use much at all. But it's because the water jacket's doing the work. That's what's holding it all there. But if you're in a cold environment, if you can keep that warm, well then the less the less heat that loses, it reduces the frequency of the element coming on because it's not recovering. So it will just sit there for a long time. They actually take a long time to cool down, especially in summer. You'd be surprised if you put wax in there tonight and it got up to temperature in the morning, it would still be pretty warm.
When you allow 8 or 10 hours for the separation to occur,
Yep.
Is that giving you a wax that you can basically pour into a mould and you wouldn't recycle it twice?
If it's fairly clean, like if you're using really clean cappings, probably. Bear in mind, not a lot of beekeepers, so I've never actually been with William. He showed me how to do it all, and I'm quite surprised how good it was. I got excited about it because the first time I actually really saw it in full use from start to finish. So the quality of stuff that we got out of there was amazing. But those cappings were very clean. We put the good stuff in, and then we did some brewed stuff after that, and that was different. So that first stuff we ran for about 8 hours, and that was fine. But the brewed stuff we put for 24 was just kept spitting out the bottom bits.
Well, when you pour your wax in the mould, once your wax solidified, when you take it out of the mould, if you've got dirt still in the wax, you'll see it settle in the bottom of the mould.
Yeah, well, I've scraped that off, put it back into a bucket of water and redone it again.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, a lot of the time you'll be able to use it straight one first go. Sometimes you'll have to do it twice. It's not something I can sort of guarantee, really. I mean, because there's so much variation in wax that, you know, that's a bit of a how long's a piece of string question, isn't it? So, probably my best endorsement would be that I think most of you would realise you would never go back to your old ways, that's for sure, after you've used them once. That's like most of the feedback I get. In the whole time I've never really had to field any negative feedback about them. Most of the feedback I've got is people helping me to improve them or to supply better information for the next person that's going to use them. So most of the stuff I have in here comes from, you know, help from people like Rob and Will and Beck that have used them from the fairly early days that I was doing. Because initially I never started out to do anything for the beekeepers. I just thought I'd do some candle units, and then, you know, a couple of people contacted me and said, "Can you whack another tap on?" And I was like, "Oh, why not?" I had really no idea what they wanted the other tap for. So it was only Rob and Will, a couple of those guys came to me and said, "Mate, you know, there's a big opportunity here in the market for people who need this sort of thing." So it sort of started from there. So prior to that, you know, if you told me 2 years ago I was going to be making stuff in beekeeping, I would have said, "Why?"
What did you originally make?
For candle makers.
And what were they using?
Soy wax primarily, and some of them use beeswax. But yeah, most of them just need a single outlet, just heat the wax to a temperature and, you know, put their fragrance in and away they go.
Is
So,
the water jacket underneath?
no, all the electronics are in here, all your electrics are inside here. So that's a thermal paint. So that's and then the water jacket starts above with that little roll on.
So the water jacket is only around.
Here and around. So it's basically a pot inside a
So
pot.
the element is inside the water jacket.
The element's in the bottom here, sitting prey up, about 50 mil off the base. That gets it up in the water jacket, and the rest of it gets moved around and head up faster. So it's a coil type element.
It's going all over.
Yeah, so it's like a shape in a couple of feet.
It's a great product. It works extremely well and it's very affordable. I can't enjoy it.
Yeah, well, I don't feel like I've got to sell it, you know, so I'm probably the worst salesperson on the planet, really, you know, but because I just try and educate people, and most people decide whether that is appropriate for the types of things they're trying to do with the choice. So initially, why I went from sort of having only a couple of views to 36 is because, you know, I used to field a lot of emails up, what are you doing for, we will need this elbow, and that'll be better for you if you're trying to make things So I used to spend a lot of time trying to make sure people get them to do what they needed them to do. So whereas these days now that I've sort of got that narrowed down, I've actually got categories for those things. So they can go in, if they're making lip balms, I'll go straight to the lip balm category and I'll look at the units that are in there that are recommended from people that have made them before that have done that. So all those units come from people that wanted to do it, that I've made the modification for, and then I've had contact with them, said how did it go, you know, what would you want me to do differently, you know, and that's where all the reducer kits came from, different elbows and just all those different configurations, so those people can do that and try and, you're always going to be dealing with the best of a bad situation with most things. It's all about learning how to do it and those little tricks, you know, the idiosyncrasies of the products that you're making. But certainly what these do is these take all the headache out of the temperature side of things. So you spend a lot more time focusing on what you're trying to produce, not just trying to get it ready to produce. So that's probably the big game changer for most of the people that use them. For me in the beginning it was very difficult because I used to get a lot of emails from people saying, oh, you know, they call me, I need to talk to you. And straight away I always think, oh, what's wrong? And it was always, but most of the people were telling me how to change their life, and it was confronting because I didn't sort of get that. But that's what mostly I do now. I've got a fairly good reputation through all those forums on, you know, all the candle makers and those guys who have been using them more. I've only sort of really now started thinking about, you know, putting myself out more with the beekeepers because now I'm a bit further down the track. I'm a lot more confident with them and what they can do and what they can deliver and how they perform. So I can stand in front of people and know that they're going to be okay. I'm not living on a prayer anymore because you know, when I started, it really was just, well, we'll see. So, yeah, so it started from there. So I kept it fairly low and, you know, just got fairly close with people. And sort of grows from there. So, yeah, so that's it really. I always forget the prices. I'm too busy thinking about, you know, how many millimetres that hole's got to be for that one. And, so now that I've got 36 mils, I'm confused what price it was. I'm always reluctant to say prices because I don't want to quote the wrong price, but people always remember it's cheaper. So, good to hear. Probably the limiting thing is that they have to start from a point. So the smallest ones, probably procedure's been quite expensive for a little one because the next jump is only a small jump to go to the next because essentially it's all the same fittings, it's only the body size difference you're paying for. So to go from something like that $350 to the next one's only, you know, $410 and it's double the size. And to go up to that you're only, you know, sort of $100, $150 away. It's a huge jump for a small price jump because they've all got the same taps, they've all got the same elements, so it's only the body size that changes and that cost is not as great. So that's where it's hard. So for the little ones, some of the numbers for those can be a little bit for, you know, for what it is size-wise in your budget. I only started to do the 7 litre one after going to the Warrigal Field Day. Not this year, gone the year before. And it was only then I realised there's a lot of beekeepers out there with only 1, 2 or 3 hives. So that was really the only reason I decided to do a 7 after the feedback I got from that. So, you know, it wasn't really about what I thought. If that's what they want, well then, you know, I'll make one available. If they can justify that cost and the need for it, well then it's there for them. If they can't, well I just won't sell them. You know, so, you know, they'll go up to the next one. But it's better to have it available there than make that decision for people. They allow them to make that for themselves. Not what I think, you know. So that's what started for this. That's a bit of a disclaimer. But I always go by that attitude. You know, you always worry about those sort of things. I think people think you're here on one thing, they think you're on everything. So that can be a job of it. But that's sort of where they are. This year I plan on doing a honey dispenser on a unit with a frame that you can hang a bucket on. You drop your honey into it, and warm your honey to 30 degrees if you want, and then just dispense straight into jars. Working on that at the moment, it's a little bit tricky. It's sort of on its way there. There's a couple of things, or just something that's just a straight cleaner. So you haven't got the water jacket to deal with, just taps and, you know, water in it.
A lot of us get candied honey in small quantities. You'd be able to use that and dial the temperature down to uncandy the honey.
If you want to liquefy honey by taking it out of the bucket, putting it inside the unit, I'd say get a digital controller because that might the capillary style can spike, and that might take you plus above your hive temperature that might cook it. You know, might actually not be roaring or because it's spike on you. So if you want to decandy your honey, well then my advice would be do the digital controller for the peace of mind. So you know that if you set it at 25 degrees, worse things can happen at 27. So that's will give you that confidence.
Control only come in that size unit?
All of them. Yeah, all of them. Yeah. This is the body I dragged out from under the house because I didn't have time to build one. Hence the digs. So these are ones I used to drag around to show people. So dummies. This one will get built tomorrow and sold to somebody because I finished that one. I prepared that one this afternoon, and the same with that one. That will end up completed tomorrow. And this one I prepared to make sure I had one for you guys, so I wanted to make sure I have the digital control and everything on for you guys. That
What's roughly the difference in the price between the digital and the
at $95. Yeah, to whatever price. So, you know, that 380, 95, and 475, so it's quite a bit. I think it's about 580, 6 so far. With everything stuff.
You make them yourself, Rob?
Yeah,
I'm impressed.
they're crazy, man.
You said we didn't have a manufacturing industry.
You need to go to visit in Takamani's workshop. It's one of those workshops that just makes you so jealous because everything's just so ridiculous. Like,
I can't work in a mess. You can't. You hurt yourself or your dentist.
It's actually his wife that makes him fit.
That's actually the other way around. People always think that. And then she's a mad health support too, so everybody comes in their house and sort of we can't with a bill. Straight away they start talking to me. I don't know the first thing. I'll tell you, go to the football anytime you want, just don't make me go with you.
Okay, at this point, I'd like to thank Rob for coming, making the time and effort to come all the way from Tacknam.